Oh, there we are. All right. Gotta love technology. Welcome and thank you for being here. I wanted to make sure that those of you who were here for my 3-day event this week, that it is, we had a 3-day event where in the first day, this was the 3-day Autism Recovery Action Plan. And on the first day, day one, we talked about stage 1 and stage 2 of my 4-stage process. The stage 1 is healing the gut, why it is so important to heal the gut, how the gut directly affects the brain, behaviors, mood, sleep, appetite, focus, all of these things, as well as, of course, digestion and overall health, and how the gut also controls 80% of the immune system. So if your child ends up being sick a lot, this can definitely be a reason why. Then additionally, we talked about stage 2, natural and safe heavy metal detoxification versus the harmful drug DMSA. Now, DMSA allows for the bad, um, you know, uh, the bad toxins as it's trying to excrete them to be released back into the body. And it also pulls out the good minerals like calcium and magnesium. And I gave you a for that first day that has a link to a natural safe resource that you can use that tastes like water and it's easy to use, and also a free food guide that also has a guide for helping transition your picky eater. So hopefully you've started to make some of those changes now. And then on day 2, we covered stages 3 and 4. Stage 3 is the most commonly missed piece of autism and a recovery process. And if it is found, it's usually done improperly, so your child stays ill. And these things are mold biotoxins from mold from water damaged buildings, very, very common. Lyme disease, parasites, and also something called PANS, which is an autoimmune issue where the immune system starts attacking the brain. And these things can cause issues like incredible behavioral outbursts, even rageful anger, sleep disruption, depression, inability to focus at all or concentrate, feeling exhausted all the time, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. There are so many reasons, and neurologically, it affects the brain directly and causes learning disabilities. The good news is all of these can be worked with naturally and safely, and I do all of this in my Naturally Recovering Autism membership program, which I just opened up enrollment for yesterday or 2 days ago now. So it's only open for a few more days. When you're seeing this, make sure that you go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go, which is the link to the page where you can learn more of all the specifics of everything that the membership gives you. It gives you all of the resources to go through everything you need to know about diet and transitioning that picky eater and to get their overall health, because there is much more to diet than just gluten-free, casein-free. That's important, but there's much more. And then you need to know how to transition your child to eating better and what some of the reasons are why they might be so addicted to those foods and why it's so hard to transition them away. And those are underlying things that we can work with. Also making sure that you're covering all the bases with all of these things, full detoxification, not just heavy metal detoxification. And we need to stabilize the detox pathways as we do this, because it's common that I talked to parents who have been working with functional doctors for years and they still haven't had the results they hope for. People in my program get the results they're hoping for. They implement, they follow the process, and it's so important to know that there's an A to Z. And you need a roadmap. It's not just one or two things. So detoxification requires the right type of support and strengthening for that overall pathway that helps your body detoxify. And it's more than just diet. And there are some things that we have to have in place for reducing what I call the die-off symptoms, increased behaviors that can develop due to the release of more toxins as we're trying to excrete them. But the body is already so backed up with them that it can't always move them out of the way. So it's so important that we support those detox pathways and get some toxin binders in there so the body has some help along the way. Then we move on to fighting pathogens and deeper dives and things like that. So that's really important. And then brain support and repair is stage 4. Say, well, why stage 4? Do it at the very, very end, because if your brain is too, your child's brain is too inflamed and toxic to be able to do what they even want to do. My son used to say, Mom, I want to, but I can't. Why can't I? And it's because the brain is too inflamed and toxic. My son's symptoms are no longer there anymore. Everybody's level of recovery is different, but I've seen kids who the parents were told their child would never speak are speaking endlessly today, some say. Others who are at 27 years old, too, this is for any age, that improved speech after 27 years of being nonverbal from my program, because the mom had tried for 25 years since he was diagnosed at age 2 and not gotten results. And I have multiple people who have shared what the membership has done for them on the page at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. So you can get inspired, you can see what the possibilities are from this. And I like to cover everything, like I said, because there's so much, just wasted expense and wasted time. And time is your most valuable resource, and you cannot get it back. And that is what I want to help you. It took me 10 years to figure all of this out, and I continue to research for my members, for you, to get you the best results, to keep updated on anything that we need to make sure we're doing the best that we can do, because we don't want to skip or miss anything important. We want to make sure it's thorough. And a lot of these therapies, if you're doing them early on, I had one mom, Nanti, who was spending $95 a week on speech therapy alone, just speech therapy. And then she joined my program, started implementing the steps, and eventually pulled her son out of that speech therapy because it wasn't really working as she wanted it to. And she was spending a lot of money, $400 a month, basically. And so she started implementing the program. Her son never needed to go back to those therapies. This is the same story for my own son. He never needed to go back to therapies after this work was done on the underlying causes that we work with, because it's so important to understand how these are causing the brain to have these symptoms. Causing the inability of speech and connection with others, and focus and learning abilities, and mood stability. Your child doesn't want to be ridden with anxiety or be in screaming tantrums on the floor, and it's no fun for them or you as a parent. The whole family is involved. I know it's hard on everybody. So we cover the A to Z in the program. And what I want to do is if anybody has any questions that I can answer, I am happy to answer those for you. I'm going to see where I can get into the chat here. Okay. I am not seeing the chat box, so I'm sorry, you guys, if you're asking. Okay. I'm going to write, say hi. Somebody write me in the chat too. I want to make sure that you're able to get in. This is so frustrating. I'm sorry with tech that I don't know what is going on here. Anyway, here we go. Sarah, Shano, there, thank you. I figured it out. Sophia, hi. All right, appreciate it. Okay, so Shanae, sorry. You missed the lives due to a new position I started recently. Will there be a recap or summary for each live? There was each day. If you were registered for the event, we sent a link with the replay each day that was good until that night, until the next day's event went live. And then that previous one expired. So you did get those each day in emails that you could have watched at night when you came home from work, but they did expire after that time period. So I ran through some of the pieces of that in the recap a little bit right there, kind of briefly, that we just did. But that is basically what, in a very big nutshell, what we covered in the 4 days with the 4-stage process. And so that is, so that's kind of like, I guess, the recap that you can get right now, because there isn't, I believe all of them have expired at this point. And I do have enrollment open for a very short time, to just a few days. So if you're interested in joining the membership or seeing what it can offer you and learning more about it, go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go, and you can learn more about it, and then what the program offers as far as what the modules cover and how it's delivered in both, text and video form, and what topics and because we cover everything, like I said, thoroughly with diet, thoroughly with all types of detoxification. Everything's done naturally and safely. We cover everything with the co-infections, and we cover everything for what you can do with brain support and repair. I take my 32 years as a craniosacral therapist studying the brain and all of that knowledge and holistic health and nutrition and body work, everything. And then my now 18 years of specific autism research and what I use to recover my own son, and what I've now taught to over 25,000 people worldwide now, that is successfully being implemented. So that is all now put into this membership program so that it can guide you, because it is bar none the absolute best way that I can help you. I could never get any of this into a book this way, where I could really guide you through the steps specifically, and then what you need, and when you need it, and you only get what you need when you need it. There are links to very specific supplements that are well researched for our absolute most important needs for autism at that stage that they're in a sequential step-by-step order in the program. So there's a link directly to purchase what you need when you need it from the company. I don't sell them, from the company that sells them, and you can have it shipped to your door. The program's available to you 24/7. So if you have a busy life, no problem. You do it on your timeline and on the pace that your child can move forward their timeline, because every child moves forward differently. You get immediate access to everything. And if you're really busy, which I understand too, there's 24/7 access and worldwide. And there's also, I'd say usually you can even take 10 or 15 minutes a week, twice a week, to, read, learn, and implement. It doesn't have to take all your time. My point is to save you all the time that you've already probably spent with researching and trying to figure it out and going to different practitioners and therapists and spending unnecessary funds on things that don't work trying to figure it out. So this is like a full guide that gives you everything in one place. And so you have a full year in the program too, because then you have time to do it. This is a process that does take time, and we want to do it at your child's pace, so it's done safely and slowly. What do I think about chelation, Sarah, and also raw milk? Some people say that they feel raw milk is okay, but I don't like to have children with autism having any of the bad A2 protein from cows. So even if it's organic, I would just personally avoid it. Sheep milk and goat milk are better choices. You're even better off if those are the A2 protein, which the human body can digest better. But if your child is really severe in the very beginning, I still would suggest going with more like coconut milk, almond milk, hemp milk, things like that, that don't have, so much of the not the A2 protein so much, but the casein derivatives and things that can be inflammatory for them. So it can depend on your child, but I would stay away from them. And so the chelation part, hopefully you were just here for, I did answer, because heavy metal detoxification is crucial for our children. And testing is unnecessary, because if you're using something safe and natural, you don't have to spend a bunch of money on testing. And know that basically what we use is a spray that's natural, and it's safe because it doesn't allow for the toxins to be released as the body's trying to excrete them, like it is with the pharmaceutical drugs. It allows for redistribution of those toxins, which can be very dangerous. Then you're re-releasing that into the bloodstream and moving all over the body again, and then gets to the brain through the blood. Then we also, what we use that's safe and natural, does not pull out calcium and magnesium like DMSA or the pharmaceutical drugs do. They're not discriminatory. They will pull out the good minerals along with other things. So I don't I don't find them to be safe. They're huge pills or an IV. What we use is safe and natural, and I think that's so much more important. Denise, every time I give my child age 17 activated charcoal, she gets breakthrough bleeding that occurs, which is not something that she does well with. Any insight? Breakthrough bleeding where? I've not heard of that with activated charcoal. If you're just giving a little bit, you can start with one capsule, and if it, your child won't take a pill, it's fine. You can open it up and pour it into. You want to have the least amount of food with as possible with it because you want it to absorb the toxins and not the food. But I know that some kids won't take it without it being mixed into something. So I usually say like a little tiny bit of maybe applesauce is usually a good thing. But I have not heard about breakthrough bleeding from it. I don't know what that is about at all. It could be from something altogether different. Or she might have, your child might have like an ulcer or some type, or something else going on. There, we did talk in day one about leaky gut. Now, when you've got pathogens like candida and parasites and Lyme in the gut, which is very common with children with autism, then they bore that, and along with the inflammatory foods that, again, the Picky Eating Guide gave you. If anybody didn't get the free download with the the guide to help transition picky eaters that has powdered nutritional resources in it to help get nutrition into them now and help calm the inflammation down, and also knowing what the good foods are and the bad foods. I have a free guide you can still get at autismcheatsheet.com. Right now, you can get that. And that will give you those things to help transition your child to healthier foods and know which foods to eliminate and which foods are healthier to eat. So that can be really helpful in case you missed day one where we gave that free download there. You can still get it again now at autismcheatsheet.com. And that is something because we want to heal up the gut. What happens is these inflammatory foods, the toxins, pathogens, infections, these things, all of the things I mentioned, and it's why we have to do all 4 stages in A to Z. We don't want to miss something important so your child falls short of the results they could have gotten. So these 4 stages are done fully because there's something called leaky gut, and when these pathogens and this inflammation break down the lining of the intestines and weaken it to the point where then even the candida has like little legs that are like screwdrivers, and they literally bore holes in the lining of the intestines. And this is called leaky gut because now the undigested food is leaking out of the digestive tract into the bloodstream. And what happens is that these become toxic to the body, but the immune system also sees them as a toxic foreign invader. So now it's putting out these little antibodies that are called, for immune fighting things so that they can target every time they see that as something that is harming its body. It's trying to help, right? And now that's where these new food allergies come from. So you're having toxins released into the blood, you're creating more food allergies. It can lead to brain fog, it can lead to sleep disorders, affecting speech, affecting irritability and mood, definitely. All of these things that we talk about that are the symptoms that we want to eliminate are things that are triggered by all of these aspects. So it is important to do that A to Z because she's very likely, or he has very likely got leaky gut syndrome, and you do want to deal with that soon. It needs to be taken care of. Fazia, you have a 26-year-old daughter who is nonverbal. She is on gluten-free, casein-free in almost 20 years. Good. We did Amy Yashka genetic test Yasko, and there's certain supplements she cannot tolerate. Would you be able to give her alternate to things she cannot tolerate, like quercetin? Yeah, and there are many other things that we have in the program. I gave activated charcoal and quercetin in the live event as a couple of simple things that people can go get at a health food store, because some of the things that we use in the program are proprietary, or there's so much more about it that I would need to information to give, and I, already jam packed and crammed as much as I could get into those 3 days. So the program definitely has alternates and different things that we use for the histamine reactions and the gut issues. So, and I teach you ways. There's a whole, symptoms can be your guide at first too, of course, while you're learning this. But I have a whole page that teaches you in little video tutorials how to do muscle testing so that you can learn to ask for what supplement is right for your child, or if it's accepted by your child right then. And then also for asking for dosages. But we always begin with the lowest dosage, a very, very lowest, and work up so that you can see if your child has any symptoms. But this is a way we slowly titrate up to the dosage for the child or the adult's age and size over time. So, and those are very specific too. So to answer your question, yes, there are definitely other things besides quercetin. Some of those are the elixirs that work very, very well for these allergic reactions, for the histamine reactions. Also make sure she's on a antihistamine, low histamine food diet. There are some healthy foods, many healthy foods, that also contribute to some of the symptoms. But yes, to answer your question, we definitely do. Stacy, your child is 4 and still has rounds of that. Okay, if I say the V word, this is going to go out on social media. They will literally take this page down. So I'm not going to say the V word. It's sad that they censor us that way. But so your child's had V's, and what's recommended in the program, this is a very, unfortunately, common issue, and we do deal with it. We have there are some allergy desensitization vials, and one of them actually helps to desensitize the V's. We have, since both, try to be careful what I say so we don't all of a sudden have them take us down. It's really sad that they do that, but they do. Toxins, like especially aluminum, will directly affect the brain, and they're in those. And so are viruses. These are two of the big things also that affect speech. It's why parents usually see a loss of speech after a round of these. So yes, we work with those from the causation pieces, very specifically, but it is very, very common, and we do have people who have had that type of an injury and are having good success, and it is important to work with it. Very, very important, and it is a huge and very common theme in the community of autism. So yes, does the program address that? Yes. Gotta love freedom of speech. Ira, your son is 13 and I'm looking for some natural things to help with focus and help with calming him down. Please join the program. It's calming, focus, speech, sleep. There's so much that we have to cover, A to Z, and it is absolutely worth it. I'm telling you, this program, it's been out for 9 years now. To be clear, I'm not just throwing out some random tactics or saying, let's try this. It is based on 18 years of autism research, specifically success I had, personal experience I have with my own son. And now the program, the membership has been going for 9 years. It's a solid system that has a tremendous success rate. And I do it because our children deserve to be able to live their best life. And I know that you as a parent, it's hard to watch everybody out there struggling, trying to figure it out and wasting time and money trying to figure it out. So this is why it's very important to cover the A to Z. I do everything naturally and safely, and I help people get the best results. So please join the program while it is open, because it's only open for a few days. It's a limited time enrollment. Go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. See what it offers you. I went over it in detail yesterday in day 3. but that link has likely expired by now. But the page at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go will give you more information on what to show you what you'll receive, how we work through things, what the modules have. But it's very thorough, and it will help you definitely with focus and mood stability, among other things, because our kids are essentially not well, unhealthy. These toxins, the inflammation, the pathogens, these pathogenic bacteria, co-infections, all of these things are quite dangerous and harmful to the body, and we need to work on them. They can't just be left alone. We can already see through symptoms, which is what we're seeing, or their symptoms of how it's affecting them internally and their brain. And so this is why it is so important to work with them now. The sooner that you can get on these things and doing it right, because I know there have been people that have told me they've worked with practitioners or everything for years and not gotten results. And many of those people get results in my program where they never have before. So I truly believe in this program. Follow it, follow directions, stick to the step by step. Don't try to jump around. Keep it simple and just take your time. It's done on your timeline too, and on your child. So absolutely, let's get your son better. He's 13 years old. They grow up. My son's he'll be 29 in April, in a few months, and it seems like yesterday when he was little and he had all of his symptoms, and now they're completely gone. And you wouldn't even imagine that this calm, sweet, easygoing guy that he is today would have any of those behavioral issues that he had when he was a kid. And there was a day I was worried about his future. So I totally understand. So definitely, he's 13 years old. Get on it now. Let's take care of him. So, whoop, just jumped with more questions. Fazia, do we buy supplements from a certain place, or we can buy from anywhere? I have very specifically well-researched supplements for each step in the program. I have links, and many of those directly to where you can purchase them, and many of the companies have given us discount codes. I've looked for various sites that have them. Some of them can only be purchased from the company site. They don't sell them outside of the site. Others, if you find that particular supplement on another site that you find it for less or whatever, that's fine. But I don't have people this is one of the reasons why the benefits of the program of being in it. Because, for example, probiotics are a great example. People will say, well, what probiotic will you use? And I don't go into throwing out which supplement of each type or whatever I use, because it's just it gets us to this whole wormhole of things, right? Of why and what about it, how to use it. But what I see there are so many bad products out on the market, so many. And many of them either don't work or they are too much. Like for probiotics, especially, they can have, they'll boast that they have billions in their they're called colony forming units and things, billions of bacteria in their products. So the more is somehow the better, but it is not the case, because what happens is, for children with autism, again, very specific to autism is very, very different than a lot of things. And our kids are ultra sensitive. They're backed up with toxins, loaded with pathogens. And so these billions can go in and they can cause an overactivity in the immune system, which can throw them into a PANS flare. I talked about PANS as an acronym for basically an autoimmune issue that flares up where the immune system starts attacking the brain. And it's horrible. And you see extreme OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and clinginess and fearfulness, and sleep disorders and extreme anxiety. And it's just, it's really hard. And it's dangerous. I mean, the brain is under attack. So we need to, really work on that quickly. So I wouldn't say if this is I right away in the beginning of the program on the I think on the introduction page and definitely on the supplement page, I have a piece that says already a PDF guide already on supplements. Where do I begin here? Because I know many people are coming in already on supplements and rounding to down to basically some of the things that that guide says are if your child is already on a particular type of supplement, like an omega-3 or a probiotic, and they seem to be doing well on it, and there are reasons why they're not first in my program. But if your child's already doing well on it, then, and you think they are, because they might not be, then I say when you run out, need to replenish by the brand that I have, the specific product that of that type of product that is in the program because I know of its quality, its bioavailability, its that it's the best available for our children with autism. So it's kind of like that. It's like I wouldn't just say, you know, just go out and buy another type of probiotic because it's totally different. They're very specific what I have in the program. The best of the best that I have been able to find for our children's very specific needs for autism and when they need it. To be, again, the best bioavailable, the best product, the healthiest, safest, all of those things because it is important. So hopefully that answers your question. But if you find a website that, for some reason you find a better price or something like that, I look around and I do try to find the best, but you can, if you find the particular type we use somewhere else and you want to get there, that's fine. You don't have to buy it. I give links and I've done some research already, but I give links so you don't have to search, but the link is there and many of the companies and places will have given us some discount codes, which is nice too. Oh, her menstrual breakthrough bleeding. Okay, Denise, that is okay. So there are a lot of hormonal issues that go along with the autoimmune issues. This could be her body trying to dispel things, and her hormones are likely very out of balance, which most of our kids' hormones are at any age, and we have things that naturally, never synthetically, help to very simply help to stabilize that because there are a lot of things that affect the hormones. Okay, toxins, pathogens, all of these things again. But one of the real biggies is mold biotoxins. First of all, make sure your home does not have mold in it. Her body is probably trying to purge. Sometimes you might see child get some diarrhea from the detoxification. Usually it's linked to parasites, but not always. Sometimes the body just is looking for a way to just get rid of the stuff. And as long as they're kind of doing okay, and it's not goes on long term, then it can be good. You want to keep very well hydrated. That is not uncommon. Just that it could be her body's way of trying to purge and her hormonal systems out of balance. So we work with that in the program. I would, and it's showing that her body is probably really in need. She could, do definitely make sure that your home is mold free. And I would get a true HEPA filter right away. And it has to say true, TRUE, HEPA. And one that goes down to like 0.1 of a micron filtering. They have them on Amazon, everywhere, online sites. You can find one. Basically, you just want to make sure it's a true HEPA and run it in your home, especially near where she sleeps all the time. I tell everybody to get true HEPA filters regardless because we have toxins in and around our home and, in our environment that we want to get rid of. We don't want to be breathing. We want to clean our air as much as we can. So they're a good idea no matter what. You can just find one that covers the square footage of your home. So like if you, if your home is 1,000 square feet, you can get one that covers up to 1,000. If your home's 2,000 square feet and one covers 1,000, you can get two of them or get a bigger one that covers it. That's really the only thing to remember. But yeah, I would definitely get on that quickly. Okay, where am I? Tay, can a 2-year-old be active in your program? Yeah, absolutely. The youngest I know is 17 months, and the oldest so far that I know of, is 70, and mom in her 70s was working with her 42-year-old son. So it's any age. Um, I'm just seeing slight speech delay, and I would like to address it before it gets to a far point. You're very, very smart, Tay Tay, to get on it right away. These signs are signs, and you don't want to be missing them and let it get further or not learn because the program's very educational. You will learn a lot in the program as well as the implementation and the how to. Um, because these when you start seeing these signs early, you can jump on it right away. In fact, I have the forum where you can get 24 access to write any questions in the forum along the way in the member site if you need help along the way. And a dad who just wrote me with a 2-year-old, and he's been in just about a month in the program, if that, and she or whenever we opened last. So she was nonverbal. And there's one supplement that I say in the beginning of the program I lead you to a quick guide that tells you what page to start with. But I tell you, here's an optional one or two things. And one of them, like if your child has speech issues, you can start this now. You don't have to wait on that for the sequence. And he got it right away. And she's been on it 2 weeks. And he said she's already starting to talk, like already starting to come back with her words. So everybody's different, but especially when they're young, it can happen even more quickly. So yeah, you definitely want to get on that right away. Um, High fiber cereals, are they okay like oatmeal porridge and all bran? No, they are not. Sorry, Sophia. So oat is very, very it's a processed carbohydrate, so it turns to sugar in the body and feeds the pathogens. But it also is very usually cross-contaminated with wheat crops. It's grown near wheat crops usually, and so it gets glyphosate on it, which is the spray and Roundup weed killer that they put on our wheat crops horribly to dry them out right as they're going to process them to get them into the mill so they're super dry and they can get it out on the market faster. And that is contaminated. So uh, bran can be healthy, but you would want to use very minimal amounts of it because just the fiber is important also, but just be careful that their digestion can handle it right now because when digestion is weak, and I say this even with some vegetables, like cruciferous vegetables are great, like broccoli, but you want to start with small increments to make sure their digestion can handle it. So bran, I would stay away from porridge because porridge is more of just a processed carbohydrate, a little bit of bran, but very really cereals are most of them are just processed carbohydrates. You could give her a little bit of the bran if it's a non-GMO and organic product. You don't want to go with the commercial cereals sold in the grocery stores. They're all very contaminated. So eat organic whenever possible. Janelle, your son's 27. He has high blood pressure and sleep apnea. He's on blood pressure medicine. Is this program safe for him? Yeah, there's no problem with blood pressure, and we help people with sleep. And there are usually very common underlying problems for the sleep disruption. And if you were in the 3-day event, you probably saw that all of them overlap. The leaky gut, candida definitely disrupts sleep, throws off the glucose in our blood sugar levels, which makes our brain starve for it. There are just all of these things that are affecting sleep. Mold biotoxins hugely affect sleep. So do the heavy metals. So all of these things, and he's pretty young to have high blood pressure. So I always look at, okay, well, what's causing him to have such high blood pressure at such a young age? And so again, cleaning up his diet, doing the full detoxification and clearing out any pathogens could definitely be helpful for him. But there are no contraindications that I know of for problems with anybody using the supplements that have high blood pressure, and it could probably really be beneficial for him. Jennifer, your son's 4 and diagnosed as nonverbal. Anything specific for recommendation to help stop the chewing of random objects? Okay. And also, his attention is improving. How can I nurture his speech and get his attention? So he's got speech and focus issues are your main concerns. It sounds like so. Speech, as I mentioned a few minutes ago here, is definitely affected by all of the things, like all 4 stages. I see people who, when they start cleaning up the diet and the gut starts to yell at their child, has some speech improvements. But the 3 biggies, and one that you mentioned here with the chewing of random objects, is PANS, which is that autoimmune issue, causes a lot of OCD, anxiety. Notice if that can cause a lot of sleep disruption. See if he has like if your child has more, if you notice obsessive compulsive disorders, a lot of that OCD, clinginess, fearfulness. Look at the pupils of his eyes and see if they seem to be dilated as well. Those can be signs of PANS, and PANS is triggered by over toxicity, which our kids have, but too rapid a die-off can do it, trigger it, but the big 2 that trigger PANS are Lyme and mold. And mold is the other thing that can really damage focus. And PANS also really has a lot to do with speech, as do viruses and aluminum, which viruses directly damage the speech branches of the brain. Yes, they can be repaired, and we work with it naturally, and we do cover that. So those are things, because speech is huge. I think over 40% of children with autism are nonverbal, and almost all of them, close to 100%, if not 100%, have some type of speech issue. Yes, we definitely work with those in the program at all levels. And again, if you were in the 3-day event, you saw it's never just one thing. We want to make sure that we're covering all of these pieces. We don't want, and mold can damage the brain. It can, and again, it can be repaired over time. Yes, it's called neuroplasticity, and the brain can heal, but you've got to get rid of the underlying triggers too. And so as we work with cleaning up the home and the environment, and then we're also cleaning up the diet, and we're moving through detoxification and pathogens to really help get them out of the body and clear the body so it can be healthy again, which will then bring natural health back to the brain. Um, there is immense brain fog from really all of these things. So these are that would be what I would say too. If they're in PANS, a PANS flare, and they have speech issues, PANS is definitely there. But the triggers for PANS are very commonly mold and Lyme. But I would work with everything, and the viruses and the aluminum need to be worked with as well. We work with all of these in the program, and I don't want you to see you be here a year from now going, I'm still dealing with this, and I've been out there and I've tried 4 different practitioners, and I spent $10,000, and then we tried therapies, and that was another $20,000. I had a mom write me last week. She said, I've been spending $35,000 a year on my son, who's now like 21 or 23, for years. She said, and nothing has worked. I get it. That's why I did my own research. So please join the program while it's open. I want to help you get the best results without all this wasted time and money trying to figure it out on your own. I've already done the research for you. It is there. It's laid out for you in this membership program. naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. Make sure that you don't miss the enrollment period, because it's open now, but for a limited time. Lisa, your daughter's 19. DS and has autism diagnosis. Have you had good success with someone older than 19 with both diagnosis, along with anxious attachment disorder, aggressiveness, ADD, OCD, and nonverbal? So again, Lisa, I kind of just covered some of this in what I was just talking about. Whoops, I just lost my space with Jennifer, because it's PANS is 19 is not a problem. I know there's a lot. Well, and now the autism diagnosis and the prevalence of it, because it's 1 in 36 kids now, and it increases every year. So, like back when my son was diagnosed 18 years ago, there weren't as many kids with autism, and now there are. All these kids now are growing up and they're getting older, and now parents are working with their adult child instead of their small young child. It's much more common now. I get parents write me every single day on social media or somewhere. My child's 25, my child's 27, my child's 21. My child can they join your program? Will the program? And yes, and that's why I shared that video. Hopefully you saw it yesterday. And we actually, I believe, have put it on the page where you can join the program here, naturalrecoveringautism.com/go. That Her name is also Karen, and her son was 27 years old when she found my program. She said, we fought so hard. He was diagnosed at age 2. We've been working for years. He was still nonverbal at age 27. She joined my program, implemented the steps, and eventually he started talking and reading books with her. And she shares that herself in that video. And you can listen to her, talk about it. And so, it is never too late. When you say DS, a lot of people have, I don't know exactly what DS is, but I know right now off the top of my head, but a lot of kids have multiple diagnoses of things. Ultimately, we want to work on the underlying causes because again, you've got anxious attachment disorders, aggressive ADD, OCD. It's all of the things that are caused by these underlying pieces that we have to work with, all of them. And you don't want to just do a little bit of detoxification, even if it's heavy metal. You've got to do more. You've got to heal up their gut, get the bad foods out that are contributing to keeping it bad. We've got to work on really get to the heavy metals. And then the co-infections, I just mentioned again to Jennifer about this PANS flare-up it can be dangerous. And it's when they have that extreme OCD and the aggression, and it can be triggered commonly by mold and Lyme, by other things as well, because it's an overactivity of the immune system. But mold and Lyme are huge, huge triggers for PANS, and they cause the exact symptoms that you're talking about. So again, if we just went in and tried to, that's why I'm, these harmful pharmaceutical drugs that come in and say, well, let's just try and dampen the symptoms. Well, you turn a kid into a zombie if it doesn't make them worse aggression, because that happens a lot. They're trying to just numb them, but it's not doing anything. Eventually you need more medication or the kid gets worse. And then, you're trying to get them off the medication. And it's because it's like putting a Band-Aid on a gigantic festering wound. It's like we got to work on what's underneath to get to the core problem, or it's not going to go away, and it can be more problematic as it's not dealt with over time. Mold itself affects multiple systems of the body, hormones hugely, the brain directly. I mean, these things have to be, you don't want to just leave it alone or try to, what can I do to just calm them down? We want to find out, work on the things that are causing them to not be able to calm down and have living with anxiety and OCD and aggression, especially as they get bigger. That can be scary. They get big, they get strong. It can be dangerous. I know, I hear this from parents a lot. We've got to work with it. So the program, again, is absolutely bar none the best way that I can help you through the A to Z and thoroughly. And the goal is to save you the time and the money of being out there trying to figure it out on your own. And you have access for a full year. So you have time to do it, because it does take time. It's a process, and it's one thing at a time on your child's pace, because everybody moves forward at a different pace. So even though I open up access to the entire program immediately to you, I want you to, everyone, regardless of what work you've been doing, I want everybody to start in the beginning and follow the steps to stabilize before we move forward. You don't just jump into pathogen fighting day one, or you're gonna end up with a worse PANS flare or incredibly strong, symptoms. So die-off symptoms will happen. Our goal is to reduce them to a minimum, slow down when you notice them, Don't let them get too out of hand a little bit. It's going to happen along the way, but we want to really be able to stay above it or on top of it. Um, Christy, I have an 11-year-old kid and I want to help them detox, heal, and gain healthier functionality. I think my hubby has it too, but high functioning to the point he can slightly hide it. I find too these higher functioning kids are the ones that really kind of have the hardest time because they people just think they're being an ornery kid, or they're just being disobedient or whatever, or kids at school just think, this guy's weird or something, like and other kids are cruel to them. They don't really know what's going on for them. A higher functioning kid, lower functioning kid or person, it's more obvious. People get it. They seem to have a little bit, maybe more patience, maybe, maybe more compassion, hopefully. Yeah. So what I would say too, Christy, is join the program and do it for your whole family, you included, as we pass pathogens and toxins around in the family. And so some things are, as I talked about, hopefully you're in the 3-day event, how many of them are passed in utero. So, pathogens that even your husband has have been passed to you, and then were passed to the baby in utero, and then it was the child was born with toxins and pathogens already. And so these are the things that are causing the gene mutations. But again, genes can be repaired. We just have to get all of this stuff, these toxins and pathogens and things, out of the way, and get the child to who they really are. And then later, if needed, then we'll know what, if any, uh, brain support therapies or things might be helpful at that point. But first, I like to get to the cause. And if you want to help them detox and heal and gain healthier functionality, absolutely, because you're a good mom and you care about your child. And if your husband will do it along with you and your child, I definitely recommend everybody in the family do it, because we just keep passing things around if we don't. What happens with a lot of the time is the focus is on the child with autism. So everybody's putting everything into them and helping them, but then the parents and the siblings who have, maybe a sibling who has some anxiety but not a big deal, they're not fully autistic, or they have some ADD but not autistic, or a parent who has anxiety or ADD or high functioning. It's kind of just like, oh, they're functioning okay, so they're fine, but they're also still containing, everybody still has the pathogens and the infections that you can pass back to your child with autism. So you're doing all this great work with them, but you can just keep passing around the family. So, and I don't charge extra for other family members to do it. You just follow the program that you're doing for your child, for yourself and your husband. Have all of you just do it together, and see what differences you notice. You'll probably notice a lot. I would bet your husband would notice a lot of improvements for himself over time too. So yeah, absolutely, could be very helpful. Um, Station, how do you check your home for mold? So there is, this is in the program. I can give it to you now, but it's in the program, and I have people do it for sure, because you want to check even if you don't see it, because a lot of homes have water damage inside of like the drywall or things that we don't know are there. It's called an ERMI test. It's an acronym, environmental, and then RMI, ERMI. And there's a company called Mycometrics, MYCO metrics.com, that you purchase it from. And you order it online. They mail it to your home. You do this like wall swipe or whatever, like this. They'll give you directions what you do, and then you mail the sample back to them, and then they email you the results. And that with the ERMI test, they also give you a 30-minute consultation with your results and tell you what, go over the findings with you. So that's the best way to do it, is that ERMI test for mycometrics. Yeah, to find out if it's there. But everybody also should have a true HEPA filter. You know, order one today online somewhere and get one in there in going. And just I have two in my home, and they're all running 24/7. We never turn them off. Um, just because, you know, we want to have our air just be healthier within our home no matter what. I don't use any toxic cleaning agents in our home. I make sure laundry detergent, everything is non-toxic, healthy, and you should also do the same. One of the bonuses going on right now in for the membership is my entire environmental resource guide. The things that are environmental toxins resource guide, the things that are in and around your home that you may not even be aware of, and then natural solutions for each of them, not just, oh, this is dangerous, but figure it out. There's an answer for you, a solution. And then we have a home environment protection page that's module one, part A, right in the beginning to help teach you some of the things in and around your home. Somebody mentioned sleep apnea a little while ago. And on that page, I also have something about myofunctional disorders, which are mouth breathing issues that happen that can actually be corrected. And it's pretty common also for children with autism and even adults. So, yeah, so there are our home environment protection page in the membership site as well, with many more resources for you. Um, Alicia, will this program help with behaviors? Yes, that's the goal. You know, like I say, you start out slowly because behaviors can increase as we go through it. So we want to keep that die off to a minimum. So just follow the directions in the program. You can read many of the testimonials and success stories of parents who say, my child used to be wild, anxious, OCD all the time, and now they're so calm. I hear this all the time. I mentioned in day one or two, I talked of the event. I talked about Mary, who found me when her son was 13 years old. Her son Kevin. She actually has done a podcast interview for me that you can listen to Mary share her entire story, which is really inspiring, and her success in this program, where she had never had it with Kevin before. Even 4 years prior, she had been working with a functional medical doctor for 4 solid years, not getting results. When she found me, Kevin was 13 years old, big guy, right? He's not a little boy anymore. He's hiding and kicking and biting kids under his desk at school, middle school, terrified and anxiety attacks. She was constantly being called to come pick him up from school by the teachers in the school. She was worried he wasn't learning anything because he couldn't stay in class, and she was missing work. You know, this whole thing was going on. And she had been, again, working with this functional medicine doctor for 4 years, trying, and nothing was happening. And she said, her words were, I was at the end of my rope. She said, but I knew I had to do something. I mean, what are your alternatives? You give up? I mean, you got to do something, right? And so she found the program. She said, I'm just going to try this. And she thankfully joined the membership program, started implementing. Within a year, she had fantastic results with Kevin, but she wanted to keep going. Now she's in her third year in the program, and Kevin is 16 years old now. He is on the honor roll at school. He is a teen leader in their summer youth camp. And she said, all the kids just love him. And she said, and he's so happy and he's so calm. This is a kid that 3 years prior was hiding under his desk, biting and kicking other kids. So these are the kinds of things. If you want to listen to Mary's story, I encourage you to go listen. It was podcast number 182. So if you go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/182, you can listen to Mary share the story of Kevin. And it's so inspiring. But it was the results were what she got from being in the Naturally Recovering Autism membership program. And she had tried and tried before and never gotten results somewhere else before. And I say this over and over because I want you to hear it, because I know many people here have tried for years and thought, oh my gosh, nothing's working, or what do I do? And or oh, I'll try this supplement, or you don't know how to do it or what to do, or it's not thorough. You try this doctor, you try this therapy, and sometimes your trust is broken. You think, well, nothing's going to work. Well, for Karen, whose son was 27, and Mary, whose son was 13 when she found me, both of them, thankfully, so thankfully, they joined the program, and they thought, I got to try something. I got to, like, what have I got to lose at this point, and that's why they graciously have shared Mary in audio, and that's totally fine. She didn't want to be on video, but it's there in the podcast. And then Karen actually gave us a video of that. So, and on the page at where you join the program now, again, while enrollment is open, temporary, guys, don't miss it. naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. We have a handful of the hundreds of testimonials that I have written in text there on that page. We had to just kind of pick and choose some to put on there. I have many more. And then some of the videos of some of the parents that have shared what has happened for them in this membership where they hadn't gotten results before. Alicia, are they live lessons, or do we go on when we have free time? You go on when you have free time. You have access 24/7 to the program. You'll have once you join, within 5 minutes, you'll get an email from me that gives you your login details for our private protected membership site. And so then you'll have your login as a member. And if you don't see the email within 5 minutes, check your spam folder. It should be there. Any additional questions or needs our support, we try to do our best with customer help, and members. Support at naturallyrecoveringautism.com is our email as well if anything happens there. But you should have an email within 5 minutes from me. It'll give you your login details, and it'll show you your first steps on how to get going. There are 5 monthly calls that I do once a month, like this, where you got the whole community comes together. You ask your questions, and I answer them like this. We also have a forum in the membership site that you can ask your questions 24/7. You can, if something comes up and you have a question or you need help troubleshooting something, you just write me in the forum and I get back to you in the forum there within 24 hours. So if you're at work or you're busy or something, you don't have to worry about it. Only has to be during certain hours. It's there, and you can look at your answer when you're free, and you have access to the member site anytime. And I usually, or all the time, I usually say, maybe try, if you have 10 or 15 minutes twice a week. Now, somebody joined yesterday, and she was so funny. She said, or the day before yesterday, she said, I was up last night. I spent a couple hours just, reading all the PDFs and learning everything, because, she's excited and I'm excited for her. And there is a lot to learn, but you do it at your pace. So it's there, but you can read what you need to implement, purchase a product, and implement it on your child's timeline, one thing at a time. So that's all laid out, again, with the supplements being in a sequential order for you to follow. So yeah, that's all done basically on your timeline. Can you use natural ingredients to remove mold? So Jennifer, I'm wondering if you're meaning like in the home. If you really have real mold issues, you want to get a professional, and they use these scrubbers and things on the issue. Not, you can't just really wipe down walls. Unfortunately, it's much deeper than that. But what we use for mold in our bodies is natural. There's a kind of a multitude, some various things that we use, because we want to use something, toxin binder, getting something in there to bind to those toxins. As they're being excreted, we want to support, the systems of the body. So we do that with different things we support. It's affected the hormonal system and the brain. Naturally, we also use uh, elixirs and proprietary organic herbal formulas, specifically more for the mold. There's a nasal spray because that's really important if you have mold issues, because there is a staph infection that colonizes in the nasal passages from exposure to mold, and that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and goes right to the brain. So that's where a lot of those problems come from, and it also drips down into the mouth and can affect the teeth. A lot of kids with autism have a lot of problems with their teeth. The digestion isn't working well, so the nutrition isn't getting absorbed, so they're lacking minerals and other things. But they've also got like Lyme and parasites also live in the mouth, candida, certain things like that. These bacteria will start to erode the teeth, and then the Marcons, that it's a antibiotic resistant. Marcons is an acronym for antibiotic resistant staphylococcal. So it's an antibiotic resistant staph infection in the nasal passage. So we use a nasal spray as well to fight that as part of our process. First, I have you get on the binders and get a little bit of stabilization in, which just want to make sure the body's got some stability, and then we get into that. So it's very helpful. Kimberly, I have two daughters, 15 and 17-year-olds with PANS and PANDAS, and their autism systems diminish with treatment from a Lyme literate. Okay, good. So you saw that firsthand. Then we ran out of money to maintain them with specific supplements. We are mold-free as possible, and we learned about clean eating. Good. We're still struggling with neurological issues. Any other recommendations? Well, there's probably more going on, and if you said you've got the mold issue taken care of, Lyme can go into remission and come back out a little bit too. So it is. I even have found that with myself. I have it as well. That I've worked with it and got it. Like, I'm just completely a different person. It was like I got my life back. It was all great, and I'm still good. But every once in a while, I'll get like a strong twinge in my upper stomach, and I muscle test, and I'm like, it's Lyme again. It's just like residual trying to come back, and so I just hop on the elixirs and the herbals, and like in a day, it's gone, the pain, and then I stay on it for a couple of months. I want to, there's a process to it, but at least we've got solution. So yeah, you need to be able to be on. That's good. You're mold free, but I'm wondering too, neurological issues are still there. Did the Marcons and the staph infection in the nasal passages get taken care of? And we pass that around to each other in the family too, by the way. So not just your daughters, but you and anybody else living in the home should really be using the nasal spray as well, because you want to make sure that you're not just passing it back and forth. Lyme again, these things, do need to be continually, or thoroughly worked with. The neurological pieces are still there because there's still some residual going on, and they probably have heavy metal toxicity. Usually DMSA, if that was what you used, or other things, aren't really effective. And I even have people, even on the heavy metal spray we use, I have them stay on it for years. Actually, I use it every day as a maintenance. So you go through using it more for like a year as a therapeutic dosage, and especially children with autism. And then you can go down to a maintenance of a few sprays in the morning and a few sprays at night, but we accumulate other things daily as well. And also remember that wherever your daughters go, they could have mold exposure. If they're in school classrooms, unfortunately, are terrible. They're usually culprits. One boy in the program, he made tremendous gains, and he was like getting calm, and he was getting verbal, and he was doing so much better. And he was one who was diagnosed as very severe at one point, and then he got so much better. And then all of a sudden he had this huge regression, and his mom was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. I've been doing everything. I've been following the program." And so in the forum, I'm going troubleshooting with her. And there's this pieces that you do when you're troubleshooting, like any new food, any increase in any supplement, any new exposure to any new building. And she said, "Oh my gosh." She said, "He got his hair cut at the barber." And she said, "I thought the barber was just, it just made him anxious to get his hair cut." She goes, "But he wasn't really doing that anymore." And after this, he became just so much worse. And she said, "I realized later the barber shop was this old building, had mold in it. And they were also, in a very moldy area that they lived in. So there was a lot of mold. So it definitely directly affects the neurology, your ability to think, sleep, uh, um, be able to be calm, can cause a lot of depression. Speech can be affected. All of these things can be affected for sure. So yeah, I would say that if you can join the program, it would definitely be a giant resource for you for sure. Um, Diane, where's the mold coming from? There's often some type of water damage that has happened in a building. Public bathrooms also are notorious. But you've had like your home or wherever, grandma's house too. If your child goes, spends any extra time anywhere. So if there's been a water leakage, whether it's a roof leak that was a long time ago in the past, and you thought, okay, well, we got the roof fixed, but the water damage was still there. And then it also is really big on porous places like drywall. We had we were having a bathroom remodel, and the plumber, it was an upstairs bathroom, and the plumber, as they're redoing the pipes, then they put this plug in to make sure that all the sealants and everything are proper. Well, they had a novice plumber guy of theirs pull out the plug all at once and it leaked, and it came flowing down in through our kitchen downstairs and walls. And I'm like, "Hey," I'm yelling at him. They came down, and the guy was like, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." So literally then, we're going through this process of having a portion of the drywall cut out, making sure that inside it's not got any mold or anything going on in there, because it got so wet, and then the drywall has to be replaced. So, but it's something that has to happen, to make sure that there's nothing there, because I did an ERMI test on the downstairs bathroom because I was suspicious after, it got cleaned up, and sure enough, it came up with some mold spores, and I was like, "Oh no." So it happens. But you just, a lot of the time we just don't realize it's there. So if you're suspicious, you can often smell too, a little mildewy smell. That was kind of my suspicion with that bathroom after that leak later on. And you can smell it smells a little mildewy. And know that even if it's in one room of the house somewhere, it actually can the spores can go all around the house, and they're just as dangerous dead or as they are alive. Um, so that's where also the HEPA is really good as a initial deterrent or helper in a home for sure. And that's why you want a true HEPA, so it helps with those. But yeah, these are all things that you gotta be aware of. Anything that's leaked, dishwashers sometimes leak. Various things where you think, well, that got cleaned up properly. Well, it might not have been as proper as you think. So you can do an ERMI test. Um, Diana, EMF through cameras to see children on the phone effects. Can we use the old-fashioned walkie-talkies as years ago? Diana, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because so many people do not take this seriously enough right now. They think you can't see it. So a lot of people don't think about it. My daughter is so sensitive when she walks through one of those, like a box store, like Target or something, go through a store with automatic doors, her teeth hurt. She's super sensitive. And I tried different things in the past for years, and I'd ask her, "Is it better?" And no. One was like, maybe a little, not, no. She's like, "No, not really." The one I use now, and it's right there on the home environment protection page in the program, and I will give you the link now, is the best thing I have found. I have it on all of our phones. My kids have it on their own phones. I have it on mine. I have it on my husband's, and we also have this protection on our home. And you it's naturallyrecoveringautism.com/safe, SAFE, because that's how it makes me feel safe. So that is a hyperlink to the website. They give a 14-day free trial to have it placed on your home or your phone or whatever, so you can kind of get a feel for what you feel or what differences you feel. If you don't notice the feeling of differences right away, please continue with it and get their subscription. It's inexpensive monthly. It's just a little thing that they it is so helpful. And so I asked my daughter, I'm like, when I first got that, now it's been years. She's like, what? And this is so important. I would not use my phone without it. Or I keep it near me where I used to keep it away from me, because if I'm in 9 feet of my phone, I'm protected. So when I leave the home, I have protection as well. But I also have it on our home for extra. But she said right away, I was like, Have you noticed any difference?" She was like, "Yeah." I'm like, You don't feel like, you don't feel it anymore, like harming you, or, you don't feel your teeth?" Or she's like, "No, no, not at all." She's like, "Yeah, it really works." Like, and she is like a true testament. I had one mom who said, that she got it on her house for their family, and for, when she had a child with autism, and she's in the program, and she said, "I didn't realize I had this thumb, that, like, the joint in my thumb was bothering me for months, and I couldn't, nothing seemed to get it better." She said, "As soon as I got that on our home, the pain went away." She's like, and I had no idea how much it affects. It affects every cell of our body. And I have studies on the home environment protection page where you can see uh, connections with symptoms of autism, with the damage to cells. Unfortunately, my brother has a very good friend, 62 years old, died 2 days before Christmas of a brain tumor. He worked for the entertainment industry as like a camera assistant, and he had one of these things that he wore on his head all day long, every day for his whole career, long hours. Well, his brain tumor was right where that thing sat. And it's a common theme. There are a lot of neurosurgeons who will not put a phone up to their head. They don't know about the FLFE subscription, which they should now, but it's very important. And they say, um, that it's that they found that pathogens, especially even including mold pathogens, will thrive up to 600 times more in the presence of EMFs. It weakens us and it strengthens bad bacteria and pathogens. So naturallyrecoveringautism.com/safe, regardless if you join this program, which I hope you join the membership program, but definitely get EMF protection. That is so, so important. And this one is bar none the best one I have found. It is super, super important, especially while you're working with your child to get them better. Lisa, Down syndrome. I do have a couple of parents in the program who asked me, they said, my child doesn't have autism. One has some Down and something else, and another one has another brain disorder. And she was like, will this help? And all I can say usually to that is there are all these underlying principles of toxicity, infections, and other things that go on that we are then protecting the body with and helping it to be stronger. So it really can only help. I said, I don't know exactly, but I believe that it can, no matter what, it can be helpful. Well, this mom in particular that I'm thinking of, she writes me in the forum all the time. She's like, she's been in the program about a year and a half now. She's like, I remember her writing me on Facebook, like asking me questions of trying to figure out if she should join. And she's going back and forth. And she was on these calls. And she's like, I didn't know what to do. I decided to join. And she said, I am so glad I did. She's like, my son's starting to have little bits of communication and talk, like, different things are like, he has more focus. He's better. Like she's really grateful that she joined. So that's what I can say to things that are not autism, because I specialize in autism, but all of the things we do are helpful for all of the other underlying people writing. Does it help ADD? Yeah, absolutely. All these other things. So that is my answer for that. Um, okay. Um, Fazia, will you be able to answer any questions through email during the program? I can do better than that, Fazia. um, I have a privacy protected forum inside of the private membership site where I have members can write me questions. You can at any time you need help in the forum, you write me there, and then I'll get back to you with an answer in the forum within 24 hours. So that is always available. I don't limit people. The program is very thorough and step by step, but and it's laid out. But if you can't find an answer you're looking for or you need help, then you just write me in the forum and I will get back to you within 24 hours there. Um, which is a huge, huge bonus as well. So yes, yes, absolutely, you have that. Ebony, can you extend the time for sign up? I'd like to use my tax return funds to purchase. Uh, that would be we don't know when the tax returns will come back, but I'm glad that you have them coming. Right now, we have a hard close for the enrollment period at midnight on Thursday, January 30th. So that is, but you could do the monthly option too, payment option. And then when the returns come, you have it just, that way too. So it would just be $97 to start. I don't know when your tax returns are coming, so but hopefully that can be helpful for you. Um, but yeah, we are closing the program down on the 30th. Um, Christy, thank you. You're very welcome. My pleasure. I'm glad you're here. Kimberly, we lost everything. My daughter's declined so fast, spent our life savings. Um, each daughter spent 100,000 Lyme disease. Yeah, Kimberly, I get it. I spent about $150,000 in those 10 years trying to figure out what to do for my son. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money. I won't say it was wasted because I did figure it out, but I wish I would have done anything to have had a program like this back then. I was searching for answers and nobody had. And nobody still has anything like this, especially a parent who has lived through it, has the personal experience, and has done this kind of research. And, that's what makes it unique. And it's A to Z. It's not just, okay, this is a diet program. You see that a lot, little like, teach a diet. Well, that's great, but that is not enough. You need a thorough diet program, you need thorough detox, and you need the co-infections worked with. You got to know how to do this right. So that was when I had such success with my own son that I was like, I have to share this with parents. And it took me a year. I showed you Pierce, the father. He was actually in Africa, and I'm in the United States. He wrote me and he said, Karen, he wrote me one day, I remember, he said, I am overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. His son had just been out of a 2-week stay in the hospital, where a second one for that year, where he had been pumped with antibiotics. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with him, what was going on, what to do. So they pump him with antibiotics, which he had, I remember, bad reactions to. And his father pulled him out and said, after that, he said, I swore I would never have him go back in the hospital again. And I searched, I found you. And at the time, I didn't have the program yet. This was little over, nine and a half, 10 years ago now, because it took me a year to put the program together. And because I wanted to do it right. And now we have perfected things over time. I keep trying to do everything I can to always improve. And so he said, can you just create something that you can walk me through step by step? Just show me, tell me what to do. I created it. Again, it took me a year. I put it together, and he's like, Pierce is now in a regular classroom. He's, socializing with other kids like a neurotypical kid. He's, his dad said he hasn't been sick with more than a cold since he joined, since they were in the program. And this has been years now. He's so healthy. And so, his speech also came back. all of these things from the program. So this is what when I saw these things starting to happen for people, it just the membership has grown. It's in over 40 countries, and my goal is to reach millions of parents, 5 million parents of children with autism, who my program can help, and really help you have this roadmap from A to Z with the resources and the support and a community of people who get it, so that you can get the best results for your child without having to waste any more time or any more money trying to figure it out. It'll take time to do, but at least you'll know you'll be on the right path and you're not throwing money away on things that don't have any type of a track record or anything that doesn't have a roadmap, so you don't know what to do. This gives you all of that in one place, and you have a full year of access, so you do it on your child's timeline, 24/7 access, and it gives you the time that you need to do it, because it does take time, but at least again, you're on the right roadmap. You're in the right place. And so anything spent is a necessity. It's not unnecessary things or unknown things that you're just trying to figure out, because it's already been figured out. So yeah, it's thought I, felt like I need to help my community, help these other parents of children with autism who, are going through what I had gone through, and help them. So here I am. 9 years later, and thank Pierce's dad for all of that. Um, let's see. We did micrometrics, mold, IgG, and IgD test. Uh, o- um, but old is high. I'm sorry, I don't understand this question. My house was tested 2 times. We did have uh, cladosporium outside, laundry with doors open, but his dad was taking steam showers and the dryer going, and he created mold. Yeah, where did the child react to mold? The mold spores are in the home. So yeah, bathrooms are notorious too. You want to open windows when you shower, let the steam out. Um, but yeah, so just from being in the home, you don't have to be in the bathroom. Another place that's big are attics and basements, and they can even have the basement can have mold and the door can be closed, and you think, well, it's not getting in. Those mold spores, they're in the air. They travel, so they get into the whole home. So yeah, your child basically got it. There. Uh, uh, Leah, you're saying you spent my life savings of $250,000 in 4 years on my grandson. This is such a common theme, and it's people are taking second mortgages out on their homes. They're doing everything because they want to help their child, but they haven't found this yet, or didn't know what to do before. So at least now you do know. Now you're in the right place. So I know it well too. Lisa, does my program strengthen mitochondria? Absolutely. Mitochondria is a huge, 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 and a very important piece. And mitochondria is damaged for anybody who's unaware of it. Mitochondria is the energy of our cells, and it's damaged. The cell's energy production, it's damaged by toxins and pathogens, all of these things. And so all the work we do will help to strengthen the natural mitochondria, but then we also have some supplements that are specific for helping to build it as well, which helps tremendously with energy and helping the detox pathway. So absolutely, yes. Um, what exactly does the mycometrics test show? Can you please explain? Yeah, the mycometrics test is not a test on the human body. It's a test on a building, on a wall, a floor. So it's done on the home or in a classroom. I have parents who've taken it and done their child's classroom. Um, so so that's what it is. It tests for spores in your home or in a room or whatever. So it's not not on the body. That is done. The tests for a lot of the co-infections are very, very expensive, and many are very, very inaccurate. I say do not waste your time and money your resources on the tests because everything we do is safe and natural and it works with it and it's broad spectrum. So it only helps to support the body and strengthen it overall. And we don't just boost up the immune system in anybody with autism, especially because what happens is we can throw them into an autoimmune PANS flare, right? We don't want overexcited immune systems. So the things that we use will, especially the herbals, will help to modulate the immune system. If it's overactive, it'll bring it down and calm it. If it's underactive, it'll bring it up and but that brings it to balance instead of just woo, let's just, overexcite it and then, throw into a PANS flare. We don't want to do that. Um, can my 3-year-old granddaughter do the program? I'm glad you haven't done V's, as we call them here on social media. V's so far. Very important. And yes, absolutely. A 3-year-old is perfect. I have, like I said earlier, any age. I have people I know of. The youngest I know of that's been in the program was 17 months, and the oldest I know of was, and his mom, who was in her 70s, was doing it for him, and he was 42 years old. So any age, yes, they grow up no matter what. Um, Somebody wrote something I think is joke. I can't tell. Okay, and then the last question I'll answer here, and then we can finish. You guys have been great, and these have been excellent questions. Child had mycomold in the blood tests, IgG. Okay, what exactly is this test showing? He tested in high in all molds. Well, then you know that his body has his or her body has the mold biotoxins in it, and they have to get dealt with. You got to treat the source, make sure there's no ongoing exposure, but then you got to work with it in the body. And the I can't really help you with that fully outside of the program. You've got to be in the program to be able to do this properly and effectively, and with certain things that I have in the program that I cannot offer outside of the program. Um, there are proprietary organic herbal formulas and certain things that we have that are in there that are small batch. They're not even, I'm not even allowed to offer them outside of the program. But they are very effective and we work with that directly. Everybody, please make sure you join the program, enroll before the enrollment period closes. Go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. And Sana says, my question was skipped and I want the answer. I don't see you anywhere in there, Sana. I still don't see it. But we've answered a lot and been thorough, and you can have more answers as well about what the program, everything it offers you. And you can join now today and you'll have immediate access. Again, the link to join is at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. Please go and register now and get into the program so that I can help you in there thoroughly and properly. I really look forward to supporting you on the journey and helping to get your child the absolute best results possible. And I truly mean that because all our children deserve the best chance at living life their happiest, their healthiest, and to their full potential, whatever that may be for them, and living just so much happier than they are now too. So thank you so much for being here. If you have any additional questions too, you can go to support@naturallyrecoveringautism.com. But a lot of those questions are probably answered on the enrollment page. So please go there now, naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Thank you so much for being here. Take care.